Okay, so this is a really weird angle. I'm working in a very small space. I'm at my grandmother's. I am on the kitchen table, but I also have out all of my stuff for my Friendsgiving dinner when I'm trying to meal plan. So I'm working in a confined space. I do recommend more space than this, but what I have is an apple peeler and corer. Now, this is the coring part, and it adjusts with a wing nut. I've found that unless you have perfect apples, this coring function does not work like I would want it to. Maybe you can get it to work. I don't know. I do recommend these if you are processing a lot of apples. The other thing that I am using is this is a progressive apple slicer and corer. The nice thing about this one is it has this little thing at the bottom, pushes through, and it actually pops out the core or any slices on the bottom. Like if you were slicing with the peeling on, sometimes those peels get stuck on the bottom, and this actually closes up the knives at the bottom to push the apple out. I picked this up, it was, I don't know, maybe $8 at Bed Bath & Beyond. It's probably my favorite one. You can get these at the Dollar Tree without this little function on the bottom. But I prefer this one. I've used the other ones. I will try to link one of these below. This was picked up at an Amish store locally, but I know that you can find them on Amazon because I was looking last week. So, what I have are wine sap apples or stamen apples, and I want to show you why this thing is so awesome. Now, it does have a suction cup bottom, but since I'm working on this and I'm working in a small space, I'm just holding it down when I do this. Ideally, you would want it suctioned to a counter or maybe even a sheet pan to contain all the mess. But this works better for me because I tend to peel all the apple away with the peel, is what my grandmother always told me. So, you pull this guy off. You might have a little bit of peeling at the top. I'm putting that in my Ziploc bag over here of scraps because that will be juice later. I'm going to cut off the blossom end and put it in there too. And I'm going to show you how this guy works. So you just center the core on like any other one. Push it down. I'm going to pull off the slices. I am weighing these because I'm using the ball cookbook, and it does call for 6 pounds. So I am weighing them to make sure I get my recipe right. And there you go. See, it just popped it right out. So, see where my scale's at. I think I'm going to need one more apple. And I'm just rinsing these in a bowl of water. They are organic apples from the local fruit stand. But slide this guy on, twist away. And this is essentially crock pot apple butter that I'm making, except I'm using a turkey roaster because it's way bigger. So I'm just going to take a paring knife, cut my top and my blossom end off. Really just the peel around it. Slice this guy up. Now if it happens to get a little off, this apple wasn't quite a cylinder. Just cut out any hard pieces, but that doesn't happen a whole lot. Just with the wonky apples. Only apples that I'm videoing. That's when that happens. just what I need. So, in my roasting pan, I have 6 pounds of apples that have been peeled and sliced. Depending on how fast you wanted these to cook, you could by all means slice them in half or smaller cubes. It's whatever you're looking for. But according to the ball recipe, I have 2 cups of apple cider, and I just used Old Orchard apple cider. And sometimes you can pick that up at the Dollar Tree, but I know Walmart sells it. And then 3 cups of regular white sugar and a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon, and then a half of a teaspoon of cloves. So these are obviously going to need to cook for quite a while. I do need to stir them because my roaster has been on a low setting for a little bit. So I need to stir them up. But I'm going to add in those items, and I may add a little bit of extra cinnamon just because it's how I like it. We have several Christmases between my family and Ricky's family, so there's 26 of them at his family on Christmas Eve on his dad's side. So this is a homemade gift that's great. Neighbors, maybe your mailman or we have a mail lady, your mail person. This would make a great gift if you have like a secret Santa person at work or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get my cinnamon, my cloves, my sugar in here. Like I said, the apple cider is in the bottom, so I'm not going to add water. I'm actually using that apple cider. And that also allows me to use less sugar by doing the apple cider. So I'm going to crank these babies up, get my cinnamon in, and I will check in with you in a little bit. Okay, y'all, I almost forgot to pick the camera back up. Typical Jessica. So right now I am running my apples. The ball recipe book that I was using for this, it said cook them for 30 minutes and then run them through the food processor. I didn't feel like they were done. I had them cooking at 300. No, I had them cooking at 350, and I cooked mine for about an hour. And I feel like they're nice and tender now. So I am just in batches putting them into my KitchenAid food processor. You could easily do this with an immersion blender. I just don't own one. It's on my Amazon wish list. Maybe someone will pick me up one for Christmas. My mother-in-law hasn't asked me what I wanted yet, so maybe I will let her get that for me because I really would like to have one. But I'm just running them through. You could do this in a blender. Just keep in mind, hot liquids in a blender can easily explode, so you want to make sure you only do small batches. Like I said, immersion blender would be fine for this. Now, the next step, this is what I have already ran through the food processor. This recipe, like I said, I did put cloves in it. Cloves are very aggressive. Cloves are very aggressive. I may omit those in the next batch and just do more cinnamon. I love cinnamon, and I think that would be my preference. This is not bad, absolutely not bad. And my mom and I made apple butter in crock pots, gosh, right after Ricky and I got married, so probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, 16 years ago maybe. And I don't remember the recipe that we used, but it would have probably been similar to this. It was just something we found online. That was way before the days of Pinterest. But it's a very good recipe. It's just very clove aggressive. So I think I will mix the cloves on the next one. But it does taste very good. So you're wanting to pulverize, but not liquefy. I'm trying to do this one hand. It's not so easy. But I will let you see what it looks like. Kind of the consistency of chunky applesauce is how I would describe it. So my jars are in the dishwasher. Once you get this pulverized, This is so hard to do one-handed. My tripod would not fit in here. But once you get it pulverized, then you'll put it back in. If you're doing it in a saucepan, you'll put it back in that. If you're doing it in like a roaster oven like I am, or crock pots, or however, you'll put it into a clean pot and bring it back to a boil and then leave it to simmer. So that'll be the next step. And once I get it all purified up and back in the pot, then we'll come back and look at it to put it into jars. Okay, so all of my jars have sealed, except these guys right here haven't quite sealed yet. I did have some extra, and I didn't have a jar prepared for it, so I did put it in a quart. That, of course, is not going to seal. I'm just waiting on it to cool so I can put it in the fridge and we'll eat that. I'll probably transfer it into another jar as soon as they come out of the dishwasher. But the ball book said 8 8-ounce jars. These here are 8-ounce jelly jars, and I ended up with 12 of those, 2 pint jars, and then I'm guessing that would be about a pint because it's about half of a quart jar. So that's what I ended up with. I have those 6 pounds of apples gave me all of this, and it was only maybe a third of the first bushel. So I still have 2 full bushels of apples to process this weekend, and the 2/3 of the other bushel that I still have. So that's what I ended up with tonight. I'm going to call it a night. I really should have gotten started earlier, but I am going to put a link to the ball canning book. Oh, one just popped. The ball canning book that I got the recipe out of in my Amazon, or I'll put the Amazon link in the description box below. I did show it on a video earlier in the summer when I got it, but I will put a link to that below. It is my go-to for all things canning. So that's what I ended up with. I'm going to make some really cute labels. I found some on Pinterest. So I'm going to make those and tie some pretty, probably just like baker's twine around these from Dollar Tree. I picked some up last year and wrapped my presents with them. It was super cute. That or some ribbon. And there's 12 of my gifts, and I got a lot more to do. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.